Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Beanie and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing some player reviews. We're going to be reviewing the Player of the Month cards, and we're going to start out with this 93 overall Felipe Rivera. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, everybody was really excited whenever they saw that this 93 Felipe Rivera was coming out, and for really good reason. This guy is amazing. He is, in my opinion, probably the second best, but I guess he has an argument for maybe the best left-handed reliever in this game. His per-nines are fantastic, 94 and 91. The guy he's competing with is Chapman, really, and he's 99-99. So he kind of falls a little bit short there, but he makes up for it with pitch selection, and he has a four-seam changeup, slider, curveball. They added that curveball to him, and even though you're not going to use that curveball a ton, it does provide another threat whenever he's up there pitching, so it does give him a good bit of value. And his stuff is fantastic, guys. He has a big speed differential between his fastball and his slider. His slider typically sits about 80 to 82. I've seen this guy's fastball in high elevation stadiums like Laughing Mountain or Coors. I've seen his fastball hit 101 a few times. He typically sits 98 to 99 in normal circumstances, but even in a low elevation place, he can hit triple digits, and in a high elevation place, he can hit 101. This guy can throw so hard, and he has great speed differential with that slider. I mean, that's like 20 miles per hour with a ball that's moving away from left-handers, moving into right-handers. That's really valuable. His changeup sits about 88, 89, so it's very good too, and he has a solid curveball to go along with it. I think that this guy is, like I said, he's probably the second best left-handed reliever in the game. I think I like Chapman still just a little bit more, but I like this card a little bit more than guys like the Doolittle or the Britton. So I ended up giving him a fag of a 9.1. Next up, we have the 92 overall Aaron Nola card, and this card is also very intriguing. I think some people may overlook this card because he doesn't look as dominant as a lot of people are, but his per-nines are very solid. I mean, he comes in well above that mark that we usually want. So he's going to shrink the PCI good enough for a starter. And his stuff is pretty good too, 74 and 92, but he's not a flamethrower. So a lot of people might be put off by that, but he does have a really good sinker. The only thing that I don't like about this card is his lack of slider, and that could be an issue. He doesn't have a slider or a cutter, so he doesn't have any pitch that's going to be sweeping away from right-handers, and I do think that that's an important pitch to have. But this guy, if you use him primarily as a sinker baller, primarily as a guy who changes speeds and stuff like that, I think he could be really effective, and he has a really good curveball to go along with it, so I gave him a fag of an 8.2. By the way, guys, before I go on, I'm going to explain FAG. I meant to do this at the beginning of the video, but the FAG, for new viewers, the FAG, it stands for Final Assessment Grade. I just thought it was a really funny thing, and it's probably kind of offensive to some. I don't really care. But yeah, FAG stands for Final Assessment Grade, and basically what it is it's a formula that I put in, and I say a formula, it's really not all that scientific. I just weight attributes based on what position someone plays. Like for first base, I weight hitting a lot more than defense. For some positions, I weight it pretty evenly. Sometimes speed has more of an influence. And then I put it on a scale 1 to 100, and then I divide that by 10, and then I get their fag, right? So like a guy who I graded out as an 82 out of 100 would get an 8.2 fag. The only reason I put it on a decimal point is because that's how I started before I put the formula in. So I just, for seamlessness, I decided to put it on the decimal point system. So, okay, guys, the 92 overall Jonathan Schoop. This card is incredibly intriguing to me. I love cards like this. Middle infielders who can play basically anywhere in the infield, have really good defense, and you don't have to sacrifice hitting to have them out there in the field. The only negative to this card's defense is the low reaction, so he might not have the range of some middle infielders, but if he gets there, he's going to be really reliable, and he has an extremely strong arm. So if you play him at second base, he's going to be able to turn those double plays a lot better than a lot of other people. There aren't that many second basemen that have great arms like this card, so that does have a lot of value. And hitting-wise, this card is very good, a very balanced hitter. There aren't that many balanced second basemen. You'll see a lot of guys that have platoon splits, and stuff like that. Think like the Robinson Cano or something. Really, the only two great cards that I can think of that don't is the Chase Utley in this card. And I guess you could say like the Ian Kinsler, but the Ian Kinsler he favors righties pretty heavily, you know, with the contact and everything. But I like that. I like the fact that this guy is really balanced, can play anywhere, and has good defense. He doesn't have the speed that you would want from a middle infielder, so that does knock him down a bit. But overall, I really like this card, and I gave him a fag of an 8.4. Next up is the 88 overall Michael Conforto card. I'm not that big of a fan of this card. Obviously, he is above average, and obviously he crushes right-handed pitching. But he has low vision. He has heavy platoon splits. It's just not a guy that I would want in my ranked seasons lineup. You could make an argument, like for some events or something, that this guy could have some pretty good value. But he doesn't have great defense, and he doesn't have a lot of speed. There's just not a lot that stands out about this card other than the fact that he crushes right-handed pitching. But honestly, at this point, there are just so many guys that crush right-handed pitching that you have to have something else that stands out about you. You can't be below average at everything else and expect to be a really valuable card. So I ended up kind of knocking him a good bit, and his fag ended up coming out at a 6.8, and I think that's about right for this card. Next up is the Chris Taylor, and as much as I'm not that big of a fan and I'm not super excited about the Michael Conforto card, I am excited and I am pumped about this card. This card is awesome, and I could totally see putting him on my bench. In fact, I think I have him on my bench right now for ranked seasons. He makes the cut because there are a lot of things that stand out about this card. First of all, he can play basically anywhere. He doesn't have first base as a secondary, but you could even put him at first base and he would be fine. But he can play anywhere in the infield, anywhere in the outfield. The only two positions where I wouldn't put him are catcher and pitcher. So that has a lot of value as a bench piece. There are some other guys like that. You have the Chris Owings and the Ben Zobrist card, and those cards are really good too. But I love this card because he's also a great hitter. He has fantastic contact, and that kind of mitigates his low vision, so that's a really good thing. And he also has a decent amount of power for a utility guy. Typically, utility guys don't have a ton of contact and power, and even though his power isn't great, it's enough to where if you get a hold of a ball, that ball is going to be gone. The only thing about this card that isn't great is, you know, you can play him anywhere, but he's not going to provide fantastic defense anywhere you put him, but he will be competent, so that's also valuable, and he also has a little bit of speed to go along with it, so that is excellent. This guy is a beautiful card. I love him. I ended up giving him a fag of a 7.9, even though I kind of wanted to grade him higher. A 7.9 was where it came out at because his defense just isn't fantastic, so I had to knock him a good bit there, even though I did give him some bonus points for being able to play a ton of positions. So Chris Taylor, a 7.9, very, very valuable card. Next up is the 85 overall Tommy Pham, and I'll be honest, guys, I ended up grading this guy at a 6.9, but then I got my hands on him in the event, and he played up a good bit. He was a lot better than that 6.9 rating that I gave him as far as his hitting goes. Plus, he has some speed, too. I don't really like him that much as a center fielder because his defense isn't that great, but you can play him in either corner, and he'll be fine there, too. But guys, this card has a beautiful swing. It's actually not a beautiful swing. It's actually quite an ugly swing, and I hate the animate. Like Carlos Correa has it, a few other people have it, and I don't like the way it looks, but I do like the way that it plays. It plays way, way up, and it makes guys. It honestly makes their attributes better because they can go either way with the ball. They can pull it, they can push it, and they can still hit it really hard. And this guy was no different. This guy can really, really hit the ball. And obviously his attributes kind of pan that out. You know, 81.74 is pretty good. 76.93 is very good. The low vision is kind of concerning, but with that swing, man, he just feels good in your hands. And he has some speed to kind of back that up, so maybe he can stretch out some triples and doubles. So I really like this card. I graded him out at a 6.9 before, but I am going to change that grade just a little bit to boost his hitting some because of that swing. So his final grade is going to end up being a 7.3. I know that that's still kind of low for me hyping him up a lot and everything, but there are just some things that you can't get past, and like the defense and stuff like that is one of them. So a 7.3 for Tommy Pham. Next up is the 96 overall James Paxton, and this card, he's awesome. I really like him. I really do. They gave him a sinker. They added a sinker for him, and I think that definitely ups his value a good bit. His stuff is amazing, 96, 85. He's going to have great attributes on all of his pitches. They're all going to be effective. He has a cutter instead of a slider, so that's like, do with that what you will. I don't think it's that big of a deal for a left-handed pitcher. I think a cutter can actually, in some cases, be better for a left-handed pitcher than a slider would be. And obviously that sinker is going to make him play up a ton. His per-nines aren't fantastic, but they're definitely above board for what you would want out of a starting pitcher. And the fact is this guy is a lefty, and lefties seem to have more value this year than they have in years past. Maybe even more value than right-handed pitchers, at least right-handed starting pitchers. So I really like this card. It was close between him and Rivero for my favorite card of this most recent release, but I have to give the edge to to Felipe Rivero just because I like him a little bit more, and I ended up grading James Paxton at a 9.0. Okay, guys, we're not done yet. We still have a few guys to get to, and this 99 overall Bret Saberhagen card was released in packs, and I don't know, he's an intriguing card, but he's not a guy who I would really want to go and buy and try out. Just because he doesn't have anything that really stands out. He doesn't seem like he's going to be able to dominate guys. His per-nines are fine, 160, that's well above what we want out of our starting pitchers, so no problems there. And his stuff is, honestly, it's fine too, 78, 82, that's actually well above average for a starting pitcher, so why is this guy a guy that I don't like that much? And it all has to do with his pitch selection. Four-seam curveball changeup with a two-seam, whatever, it's just not great. Like, I would really like a slider. If he was four-seam slider changeup, I would be more willing to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. But that curveball just isn't as effective as the slider is. And the one thing I will say about this card, though, is Bret Saberhagen, even his lesser releases in the past, have always had really good speed differential between their four-seam and their changeup. If that's the case with this guy, he could be one of those guys who really, you only throw four-seams and changeups to your opponent, and it ends up working out pretty effectively, and maybe you mix in the curveball here and there just to keep them off balance. But it's kind of resemblant of like a poor man's Nolan Ryan. A Nolan Ryan that doesn't throw that hard, but he still has a really good changeup to go along with his four-seam. So this card is definitely above average. I don't want to shed on it too much. And he's actually quite a good control pitcher. Like, he's going to be able to hit his spots very effectively. It's not going to be that hard to use his interface. But I don't think you're going to be able to dominate with this guy the way that you can with a lot of other 99 overall pitchers, or even like 95 overall pitchers. So for that reason, I ended up grading him out at a 7.7. That's one of the lower grades that I'll give on a 99 overall card, but I think for this card that's about right, a 7.7. Next up is the 98 overall Barry Larkin, and I think guys are being kind of unfair to this card. I really do. I like this card. This is a guy, but how much does he cost? 86,000 subs. I don't know if I'd be willing to spend that on this card, but if he were like 50,000 stubs or something along those lines, I would be willing to give this card a shot. And there are a few reasons for that. First of all, at shortstop, honestly, this year it seems to be moving away from there being a lot of guys who have great speed to guys who are just like more power hitters and that still have great defense. Guys like Ernie Banks and Cal Ripken and Carlos Correa and stuff like that. Well, this guy is kind of a five-tool player. He has great defense. He has great speed. 85 speed may not seem like it's great, but with 99 stealing, he is going to be hell on the base pass. He's going to be able to steal bases like crazy. And as a hitter, guys, he's really, really good. 97, 76 contact, that's very solid against righties. It's fantastic. And 51 power with 97 power, that's an extreme split right there. But against you're just going to have to change your approach versus righties and lefties. Versus righties, he's going to be more of a base hit guy, a guy, that'll turn that single into a double, maybe even a triple. So, just kind of be more of a slap hitter against righties, but then against lefties, you can really bring out the big guns and hit those home runs. That 95 vision also makes it to where your PCI is always going to be consistently big. I don't know. I think there are going to be a lot of people who are just going to kind of write this card off. I think that that's the wrong thing to do, because if you're looking for speed to put in your lineup, this might be the guy for you, because you don't really, the only thing that this guy doesn't do awesome is power versus righties. That's the only thing that this guy is deficient in. And I think you can get past that. I know that power versus righties is one of the most important stats in the game, but I honestly think that you can get past it because he does everything else so well. So I ended up giving him a fag of an 8.4. That was, I felt like grading him more around like an 8.0, but the formula, I just couldn't knock him enough on his speed and his fielding and stuff like that to get him down that low. So an 8.4 is about where I feel comfortable putting him. So I really like this card, guys. 8.4 is not a bad rating for a shortstop. And if you're looking for a guy that you can buy off the market, give this guy a go. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this player review. I may have got a little long-winded. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Hopefully, I can get it under like 15 minutes or so. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. Please like, subscribe, do all that shit, and I would really, really appreciate it. I may stream later on today. I don't know. It depends on a few things, but if I don't, you can go check out yesterday's stream. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people came by. It was a good time. But anyways, guys, I will see y'all later. Peace.